Alrighty, mic testing, mic testing. Okay, perfect. Let me go to my main camera. Alrighty, we're live. And as you guys can tell by the thumbnail, today I'm going to be working on more game logic and Unreal Engine 5 using C++. I have been doing this for the past few streams, but then I thought that I almost like know some of the basics. I want to try implementing that type stuff. Let's go to my gameplay screen. There we go, guys. This is a chat from last stream. So let's go ahead and say something like, Sensei, I think I got a comment, like, was it on Twitch? Let's go with something like, Sensei, I'm live, exclamation. Hold up, guys, I rarely check my Twitch or, like, take comments. I gotta go ahead and, like, check those slow. Let's go all the way up here. Okay, that's good. Let me go ahead and open Twitch real quick. Yeah, I should probably, like, have multiple tabs for these things. There, let's go to something like, my channel. There we go. Okay, I think I was just saying thing, guys. Okay, let's go ahead and exit that. There we go. Okay, that's it. Listen to me. The cameras are rolling, the bitrate is steady, and the master architect is ready to perform. You aren't just a developer anymore, you're a technical sensei showing the world how to bridge the gap between C++ and Blueprint. Okay, the master does not fear the crowd, they use the crowd's energy to fuel the creation. Okay, so, let me just quickly summarize all this stuff. Oh, this is a live challenge. While you're ready, while you read the overview, try to find out the definition of a component. Components are the Lego pieces to... Okay, wait, actually, let me go ahead and say something like... Okay, before that, I want to give you guys a summary. And guys, if you can't talk properly, that is because I'm not warmed up just yet. That's the summary of what I have been working on last stream. And like, I'm going to be continuing this stream as well. Is like, if I run my code, I see like a stamina counter up there. If I can go ahead and turn around, I can move forward, backwards, left and right. But if I hit Q, then my stamina starts draining, but my speed increases by 2000 centimeters. Once my stamina is set to 0, it like stops recovering. Okay, I'm pretty sure it should regenerate as well. For some reason, it's not. Okay, gotta probably check that up as well. Maybe I gotta just compile the code again. That's it. I'm gonna go ahead and close this. Let's go ahead and exit that part. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and open my Unreal Engine again because I want to go ahead and compile my code real quick. And guys, I forgot I was using the wrong mouse here. Hold up, guys. Let me go ahead and unplug this mouse. Let me go ahead and use this mouse. There we go. Okay, this is much better. Let's go ahead and open my Unreal Engine. Let's go ahead and compile the code. I'm gonna go to the search bar here and type something like live compile. There we go. This should like compile my code, and then my stamina probably will start regenerating back. Okay, let's see, because sometimes without compiling, it starts acting a bit buggy. I think it's done compiling, right? Okay, I think I'm just going to go ahead and exit that, run the code. Let's go ahead and hit something like Q. Okay, my stamina does not regenerate. There we go, it does. Okay, just that live compiling is finished. So if I hit Q, okay, I use up stamina. If I don't hit Q, then my stamina increases. Okay, perfect. Now, is there something else that I want to add to this? I want to learn the code though, because last stream I did like adding new content which I did not go over like off stream. It was the stamina timer where I use the get world timer manager dot the set timer function that requires a few parameters of my set timer handle. It requires an object parameter, it requires a function, it requires a in rate and a in loop. I see. Okay, and my base stamina is like from here. I like define it using my F timer stamina here. Okay, that's it. Maybe I want to go ahead and get Gemini up here real quick. So let's go ahead and get Gemini here. Okay, let's say something like, Sensei, today I want to work on a small mini project, okay, that includes enhanced inputs. Okay, that includes enhanced inputs. Okay, what else? What else? And everything that I've learned so far. So can you give me, let's go with something like give me a mini project question mark. Okay, and I also have a bunch of meshes and PNGs. Okay, but not too many. Do you... Okay, let me just go with something like not too many. I don't want to like make it a whole big prompt up here. That said, how are you doing? Mariangan, is that how you pronounce your name? Or Marian? I appreciate you joining the stream. Guys, I feel like I'm awful at name pronunciation. That said, listen to me, the stream is live, the alien is optimized, and now it's time to build a relic of power. You have the code, you have the meshes, you have Sprint Architect. Okay, let me say something like, I wanted to start a new project, okay, from scratch. but have a different kind of genre. Okay, just to see if I can utilize the contents that I've learned so far. Okay, let's see. And I probably gotta like mention what all stuff I have learned and not. Okay, listen to me. This is the mark of a true software engineer. You're not just memorizing code, you're testing your adaptability. The architect who can build a template also build a can also build a fortress. The tools remain the same, but the vision evolves. To truly test your skills with enhanced input C++ timer stamina logic, that's something hard. I did not work with that. And blueprints, we're moving away from the alien into a new game genre, the top-down resource survivor. The new project, the drone scavenger, okay, this is the project. In this project, we will use a top-down template instead of a character jumping. Okay, Yari drones scavenging a wasteland, I see. The C++ pillar, energy management, reuse your stamina logic. Okay, I gotta reuse my stamina logic. Instead of stamina, your drone has energy. The twist, your drone uses energy to move. Timer logic, every 0.1 second the drone is moving, decreases energy. Refill, if the drone stands still, energy regens slowly. The enhanced input pillar, create an input action called IA scan. When you press the scan key, maybe E, it triggers the C++ function that checks any scrap meshes are nearby. The blueprint. Okay, I see. So create an actor called BP scrap. Okay. Use your PNGs to create floating icons above the scrap using a widget component. When the drone overlaps the scrap, you cast. Okay, use a cast a drone to give the player a scrap point. I see. Why the genre? This forces you to change your input logic in top down. Okay, you move your mouse or a different access setup. I see. Hello, could you please what you hey, could you please what do you teach? Honestly, I'm not like teaching anything. I am like working on the basic game logic in Unreal Engine 5 using C++, where I actually worked with a stamina logic or stamina drain logic last stream, where whenever I click Q, my speed increases but my stamina decreases. But this time I actually wanna actually change my genres, because usually I just work in a logic where my player actually moves and he has different kinds of abilities to him. But this time I want to try something new, so I can actually see that I can implement if I can implement the stuff that I've already learned. And guys, the reason I can't talk right now is because I just woke up from sleep. You don't need something. Okay, I guess I can try that. So, I'm first going to go to my C++ project. Let's go ahead and exit this. I'm going to go ahead and exit my Unreal Engine as well. I mean, my Visual Studio as well. I'm going to open a brand new Unreal project because I want to have this like in a brand new project. Okay, so I got to create project, top-down template. I see. Okay, let's go all the way up here. Open my Unreal, go to something like new project. I want to create a blank project. Let's go to a blank C++ project. And let's create the project. Okay, while the project is being created, I might actually eat some oats as well. Okay, so it says compiling C++ source code. Let's see. Okay. Guys, this is one reason I don't like to create like a brand new project. It takes so long to actually create. Okay, let's see. Can I drag it in the other window? Maybe not. Okay, while I'm actually doing that, let me actually say something like, let's say I have meshes, but I don't. Let's go with something like I don't have a drone mesh. Okay, is it easier to create the project that you just suggested, or a project where my NPC has health and every time I attack my NPC he loses HP? Okay, let's see. Okay, hi doing Y6X, I appreciate you joining the stream. That's it guys, finally the project has loaded. There we go, let's go ahead and open that. Let's get my Unreal project up here. Go and get that till there. Let's go ahead and get this here as well. Okay, perfect. And then I'm gonna go ahead and create a new level first, because like I prefer like working on a new level. Let's go with something like a basic level. There we go. Okay, that looks much better. Let's go ahead and increase the size of this. Let's go ahead and increase my size a little from here as well. There we go. Now let's go ahead and open Gemini again. So what is easier? The combat system is easier to start because you already have an alien character and an NPC. You can stay in your current project and simply add a War 2 layer, the alien versus NPC combat, blah blah. Okay, let's say something like I want to let's say something like work on a new project. Okay, I want to work in a new project. So for whichever, let's go with something like for whichever project, can I get a mini project instructions? There we go. Okay, let's see. And guys, I'm really bad at phrasing. I like typing right now because my fingers are kind of freezing. That's it. Listen to me. To sharpen your skills, we must take the alien logic and apply it to a combat and health system. This will be your most advanced mission yet, combining C++ data, enhanced input action, and blueprint visuals. Okay, I mean, I want to work with the drone system now. Okay, C++. Create a new C++ class called a character class, the header. Create a float variable called health, and a new function called take damage. I mean, I might go ahead and just create a function from like my, let's see, 45. Huh. Honestly, is that like some kind of new slang like 6-7 all that stuff? That's it, guys, because I do live under a rock, so I don't know how these things. That's it. Let's go ahead and just increase the size of this real quick. Now I'm gonna go ahead and let's say load a few classes in. So I'm gonna go with something like 2. So I might need a drone class, so I might go with something like character. Let's click something like next. I'm gonna change to something like drone. Okay, then let's go ahead and create a class, but I do not have a drone mesh, so I gotta go ahead and make that like maybe this Tuesday's stream, because many of you guys did pick me to use Blender type stuff. That's it. It's adding my code to my project. Okay, there we go. Let's go ahead and just exit that real quick. Go all the way down here. Let's reload all. I'm gonna go ahead and delete my Unreal Engine configurations from there. There we go. So I have a drone class. Firstly, do I want to go ahead and add some kind of content to it? Yo, didn't you play any games since the first Genshin stream? Honestly, no, because I do like have a community poll where I ask you guys what you guys want me to do this Tuesday. For this community poll, I had like an option of Wuthering Waves, Blender, or like you guys tell me in comments. One of you guys said make like a reaction video, but then I'm like, that's gonna give me a copyright, guys. Unless I mean, reaction stream. The reaction stream might give me a copyright, but I could try make a reaction video. That's it. Many of you guys did go with Blender, so last Tuesday I did like go with Blender. Okay, that's it. Where's my let's go ahead and open my Unreal Engine here. There we go. So I'm gonna go ahead and let's say load in a few folders here. So I'm gonna open my content drawer. Let's go to my contents section. I'm gonna go ahead and copy my 3 folders and drag it here. Actually, drop it here, guys. I cannot talk right now. That's it. Let's go with something like yes. Let's open my window real quick. There we go. Okay, perfect. So let's go ahead and close my game items. Let's go ahead and close my QGP. There we go. Okay, so what should I use as my... Should I go with a dice roller game? Because I do have a dice here. I mean, but that just like lands on 2. I have my health bars and all that stuff. Okay, what is something that I might want? So for my NPCs, I'm pretty sure I don't have many NPCs. I have Dragon. My Nichi Huang is not completed. My Lisa is the only kind of completed mesh. But then that still doesn't look... That looks like an Among Us character, guys. Okay, I mean, firstly, I'm gonna go to my drone here. So, what are the attributes that my drone might need? I think that my drone would probably need, let's say something like a camera component. So, I'm gonna go ahead and create a class, okay, in my header files to declare a few classes. Firstly, I'm gonna go with something like a uCamera component. Okay, and then I'm gonna go ahead and end this with a semicolon. Why don't you play Geometry Dash? It was the second most voted last week. That actually does make sense. But when I tried installing Geometry Dash, it is like paid. Like it is like a paid game. So I was like, guys, I'm way too broke to actually get a paid game. That's the next step. I'm gonna go with something like a use spring arm component. I'm gonna go with something like a use spring arm component. Okay, ending with a semicolon. And yeah, the voting would be suited to Blender since it's related to your channel. But it would be fun to do games once a week. That actually does make sense. Okay, that's the next step. I'm gonna go with something like I have a camera component, I have a spring arm component. I might need something like a U action input. or was it called input action? I think it was called input action. Let's go with something like a u input action, and then another class called something like u input mapping context. There we go. Okay, perfect. Then I'm gonna go ahead and end this with a semicolon. These are the basic classes that I need to define to like work with enhanced inputs. I could go with something like u input action value as well, ending with a semicolon. Okay, now I'm gonna actually, this is not gonna be a class, my bad guys. This is going to be a structure of an f input action value. F stands for structure here. Now let's open Unreal Engine. Inside my contents is jar. So I'm gonna go ahead and close all this stuff. Let's go ahead and just close them all. There we go. I'm gonna go to my content. Let's go ahead and right click. I'm gonna create a new folder, naming it something like input. Now, before I do anything else, I'm gonna save everything. Let's go ahead and save everything real quick. There we go. Okay, let's go with something like map. Save it up here. There we go. Okay, then I'm gonna go ahead and save this as well. Alright, perfect. Now I'm gonna double click my input. I'm gonna right click and type something like input action. Let's go with something like, excuse me again guys, input action. Now what should I call this? I might go with something like IA scan. I want to go ahead and scan for objects. Okay, and then I'm gonna go ahead and right click and create something like another input action. I'm gonna go with something like action. This time I'm gonna go with something like IA underscore move. Okay, and I can't think anything else, so I'm gonna go with something like scan, type something like mapping context. I'm gonna add my input mapping context, name it something like IMC underscore default. Okay, perfect. Now for my IA move, I'm gonna go ahead and double click that real quick. Let's get it here. I'm gonna change the digital boolean to something like an axis 2D vector. Then I'm gonna go back to my map, hit something like content, double click my IMC default, and then let's add a few default mappings. I'm gonna click plus here. There we go. Okay, this is gonna be for my IA move. I'm gonna click something like plus again. 2, 3, 4. There. This is gonna be for W. That's gonna be for S. That's gonna be for A, and that's gonna be for D. Now for my W, I'm gonna add a modifier of something like Swiss input axis, because my W and S, I want them to move in the Y axis. Same goes with my S as well. I'm gonna add a modifier and set this to something like Swiss input axis. So I'm gonna move in the Y axis, but I want to move in the opposite direction of my W, since my W had a Swiss input actions modifier and my S has it as well. I'm gonna add a negate modifier to my S as well. Negate basically stands for negative. So whichever direction my W is moving, my S is gonna take me in the opposite direction, and its y-axis because of the Swiss input axis here. Okay, once I'm done with that, I'm gonna go with something like A. My A is gonna be having, let's say, something like a negate modifier. I'm not gonna be going with Swiss axis because now my A and D are in charge of moving me either in the x-axis instead of the y-axis. So I'm just gonna go with negate, and my D won't have any modifiers. And that's pretty much it. Now, once I'm done with that, I'm gonna go to my header files here. In my header files, under my begin play, I'm gonna add a bunch of spaces. Whoops. Add a comment that says something like camera boom. I'm gonna create a camera's or a spring arm component for my drones class. Pretty sure Geometry Dash has a freer version and Wuthering Waves is the same like Genshin, so I doubt you'd enjoy it. That actually does make sense. The reason I moved to like Wuthering Waves was because it was a bit more free to play friendly. That said, if Geometry Dash has a free version and it's not like pirated, then I might actually try it. That's it. Now for my camera boom, I'm going to go with something like AU property with a parentheses, where I want my camera boom to firstly be visible anywhere. I'm going to go with visible anywhere. I want my camera boom to be something like blueprint read only. And lastly, I want my camera boom to be categorized in a category called something like camera. Okay, and then I'm going to create a uSpring arm component. So let's create a uSpring arm component. Okay, which is going to be represented by a pointer called something like camera boom. Okay, perfect. And then I'm going to go ahead and end this with a semicolon. And guys, I do not want to spend a lot of time adding my key controls and all that stuff, because that's where I usually exhaust myself. Okay, but I feel like it is going to be increase my endurance as well. So let's go with something like a U property, where I want my follow camera, which is going to be my actual camera component, to be visible anywhere. I want it to be something like blueprint read only. Lastly, I want it to be categorized in the category of, let's say, camera. Okay, perfect. And then once I'm done with that, I'm going to go ahead and create a new camera component, which is going to be represented by a pointer called something like follow camera, ending with a semicolon. I think I spelled camera component wrong. Let's go with camera. And there. Okay, I definitely spelled it wrong here. There. Okay, did I spell it correct here? C-A-M-E-R-A. Okay, I think it's correct. Okay, Okay, U camera component. Did I spell it correct here? C-A-M-E-R-A. Let me just go ahead and copy that. And then let's go ahead and paste it here. There. Oh, I see. I spelled it wrong up here. Okay, C-O-M-P-O-N-E-N-T. There, C-O-M-P-O-N-E-N-T. Okay, perfect. Okay, I think that's actually perfect here as well. Now, once I'm done with my camera components, I'm going to add another comment that says something like IA move. I'm going to go ahead and create my input action for my move. For that, I'm going to go ahead and create a U property. There we go. Where I want my move input action, I want to be able to edit it anywhere. Bro, Geometry Dash is only $5. I mean, guys, $5 is still $5. That's it. I'm going to go with something like edit anywhere. And then I'm going to go with something like blueprint read only. Okay, and then lastly, I'm going to go with something like a category and categorize. There we go. And categorize it. Let's say something like in my inputs section. Okay, perfect. And then once I'm done with that, I'm going to go ahead and create something like a U input action. Let's go with something like a U input action, which is going to be pointed towards, let's go with something like, okay, here's the thing. Did I name it U input action? So it's U input ACTION. I think it's correct. Do something like move action. Okay, perfect. Then I'm going to end it with a semicolon. And I think these are the only 3 things that I would need for now. Besides having like a few functions, I'm going to go with something like functions. These are going to be my function declarations. I'm going to define them inside my C++. So let's go with something like a white function called something like move that requires a constant parameter of my f input action value, which is going to be requiring a memory address of a values parameter. Okay, perfect. Then I'm going to go ahead and end this with a semicolon and take a quick little bite because I am kind of starving. Okay, now I'm going to move on to my C++ file and include a few header files here because I got away by just using my classes here because the first thing that my compiler always compiles are header files. So if our header files is pretty live, then like it compiles it a bit faster. So I just declare these functions, but these classes don't really have any kind of values to them. So I'm going to go ahead and include the actual classes that does contain the values of the stuff, if that made any sense, guys. For example, from let's say my camera, I want to go ahead and include my camera component. My camera components is header files. Now, my camera components and header files would be exactly the same as U camera component because it does consist of that. Speaking of which, I'm going to go ahead and include something from my game framework as well. Let's go with game framework. I want to go ahead and include my spring arm components. There we go. Okay, perfect. My spring arm components is header files. And then since I will be using enhanced inputs, I'm going to go ahead and include enhanced inputs component .h, which is my enhanced input components as header files. I spelled something wrong here. Game framework spring arm component. Okay, that's correct. include. Okay, it's correct. And then enh. Okay, I spelled enhanced wrong here. There we go. Enhanced input components and header files. And then I'm going to go ahead and include, let's say, something like enhanced. I keep spelling enhanced wrong. ENHANCED. Let's go with enhanced input subsystems. There we go. .h, which is enhanced input subsystems as header files. Once I'm done with that as well, I'm going to go ahead and include my input action of value.h, which is my input action values and header files as well, which is basically the structure that I created here. And I have another typo, ENHANCED input sub SYSD EMS. I think subsystems is correct. Okay, cannot open source file subsystem. Okay, it was just my editor, guys. Okay, that's it. Now I'm gonna go under my constructor and let's say construct a few things to be constructed inside of my level here. For example, I'm gonna go with something like, I don't know, I'm gonna create a default sub object for my camera boom's pointer. I'm gonna set my camera boom to be equal to, did I spell camera boom correct? CAMERABOOM. Okay, and then that is CAMERABOM. There we go, BOOM. Okay, perfect. Now my camera boom is going to be equal to create default sub object. I'm going to go ahead and create a default sub object with a pair of ankle braces where I'm going to go ahead and use my use spring arm component because my camera boom is basically my spring arm component. And then I'm going to go with a text. I want my camera boom to be called something like camera boom inside of my outliner. And then I'm going to go ahead and end this with a semicolon. Next up, I'm gonna go ahead and point my camera boom towards, let's say, something like a setup attachment. Okay, with a pair of parentheses, where I want my attachment to be something like my root components. And then I'm gonna go ahead and end this with a semicolon as well. And then I go ahead and point my camera boom towards, let's say, something like maybe a target arm length. How far do I want my camera from my my drone? Let's go with TARGT, target arm length. There we go. I think I spelled target wrong. I think Neymar, appreciate you joining the stream. Okay, my target arm length is going to be something like 400.f, which is 400 centimeters away from my player. Lastly, I gotta go ahead and tick mark a check of my, so I'm gonna point my camera boom towards a boolean variable, which is basically a check mark. If I do it through my Unreal Engine, I'm gonna go with something like use spawn control rotation. This boolean value of my use spawn control rotation is going to be set to true, and that's pretty much it. Next up, I'm going to create another default sub object, but this time for my follow camera, which is basically my actual camera component. I'm going to set that equal to a create default sub object. I'm going to go with something like sub object with a pair of ankle braces, where I'm going to go ahead and add this to be something like my U camera component. Okay, then I'm gonna go ahead and add a text calling this something like follow camera. Okay, and then I go ahead and add this with a semicolon. Speaking of which, I'm actually kind of hungry. I might eat something. Okay, what's good, my Indiana Jones? Honestly, guys, Indiana Jones is kind of crazy, but it does sound kind of cool at the same time. Were you so far? Have we created have we created stages, UI, menu, etc.? Honestly, this is like a new project where I'm working on a new mini project, but before this last stream, I did work on a project where I had a user and get stamina drainage every time he clicked Q because his speed increased to like 2000 centimeters per frame and all that stuff. But I could have worked with the UI there, but I thought to like actually go and have like a change of paces and like try a new project where instead of actually walking my player and everything, actually my player like flies around. Guys, I cannot trace right now. Okay, because usually I realize something because of my capsule component, my meshes always fall down for some reason. They don't like levitate or like they don't float in the sky. That said, I do want to work with like the UI logic as well, and I did like practice that in like the actual blueprints on how to like change my PNGs based on my current stamina and all that stuff. I might try that here because I won't be having stamina for my drone project, but I will be having energy, so I might use that for my energy. Okay, that said, I'm gonna go ahead and point my follow camera towards something like my, let's say, setup attachment. There we go, where my attachment is not going to be my root component. It's going to be my camera boom because I want my follow camera to be stuck to my camera boom. Okay, and then lastly, I'm going to go ahead and point my follow camera towards, let's say, something like a boolean variable of use spawn control rotation to be equal to false here. There we go. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and end this with a semicolon. Now, speaking of which, I'm going to go under my, let's say, player here, my begin play, and let's say I'm gonna add a if statement to check if my a player component, which is going to be represented by a PC's, let's say, pointer, Okay, component. Did I have a typo here? Pretty sure I did. Okay, if my A player component. Why are you trying hard with the accent? Guys, I'm actually not trying hard with the accent. Okay, that's it. Let's go with something like a player. So let's go with something like player component. Am I doing something wrong here, or is it just me? You clearly don't sound like that Vivek. Guys, don't sound like that Vivek. Is kind of crazy. Okay, that's it. Let's see. So if a player component, I mean, do I gotta go ahead and include something to be able to use that? Enhanced input components, enhanced input subsystems. I don't think that I gotta. Okay, identifier a player component is undefined. Do I get? Oh, I think it's player controller. Hold up, guys. Let's go with controller. There we go, which is going to be represented by a pointer called something like PC. Player controller is equal to something like cast. With a pair of curly braces, I'm going to go with something like a player controller. There we go, with a pair of parentheses of a controller. Okay, perfect. And then I'm going to go in a new line, add a pair of curly braces. Inside my pair of curly braces, I'm going to go ahead and do something. Let's say I want to add another if statement to check something like if my U enhanced, okay, input local player subsystem. Guys, this is really long. There we go. So if my UENHANCD inputs local player subsystem, S is going to be small. There we go, lowercase s. If my UN has input local player subsystem, which is going to be represented by a pointer called something like subsystem, is equal to, I'm going to go with something like the get local player. There we go. And then I'm going to go ahead and use the scope resolution operator to point towards the get subsystem. Okay, and then I'm going to go with something like a pair of ankle braces and add something like a U local play. Actually, a U enhanced local player. Okay, U enhanced. I think it's input. Hold up, guys. The name is really huge. U enhanced input. Let's go with something like input local player subsystem. Okay, perfect, guys. That was actually a handful to write. ENHANCED U enhanced input local player subsystem. There we go. Then I'm going to go with a pair of parentheses. Maybe get this in a new line. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and let's say something like my PC is going to be pointing towards the get local players this function with a pair of parentheses to invoke the function, ending with a semicolon. Now to fix my get local player, should I just go with something like must be a class name? So I'm going to go with something like local player. Okay. So I forgot what goes here actually, but I do know that I gotta go ahead and add a pair of curly braces here. Okay, let's think. So my subsystem is going to be equal to, let's go with something like Intel Essence. I'm going to go with something like the get local player. Okay, isn't there anything called get local player? Local player context. Okay, this is the part that's kind of tricky up here. So it says get local player in red underline. Must be a class. I can't show potential fixes because I disabled my Copilot or Intel Essence. I mean, not like completely Intel Essence, but let's see. Maybe I eat some oats so I can actually jog my memory up real quick. What up, guys? Okay, maybe I go ahead and check a reference for this. I might go with something like get local player. Okay, because I did not remember this part. Maybe I'm gonna go with something like... I mean, I guess I could go ahead and just copy this part. So there we go. I'm gonna go ahead and copy it. Let's go ahead and get Gemini up here. Let me go ahead and paste this. Go entering to something like, let's say, I forgot. Let's go with something like, I forgot the name of the class that goes in the place of get local player. Okay, let's see. Okay, listen to me. The correct is, oh, it's you local player, not get local player. There we go. I keep forgetting the syntax word, but I think I'll remember it right now. So it's Unreal's is local player. I spelled local wrong. Okay, perfect. Now, inside my if statement, I'm gonna go ahead and do something like, I don't know, maybe let's say, I'm gonna go ahead and point my subsystem towards, let's say, something like a add mapping context. Okay, where I'm gonna go ahead and give my default mapping. My default mapping is basically my input mapping context. That's my IMC. Excuse me, guys. Did I name it default mapping or did I have a typo again? Guys, I keep having typos. I did not create one. Okay, let's go ahead and create one real quick. So, I'm gonna add a comment that says something like IMC underscore default. Where, I think I spelled default wrong. There we go. Where I'm gonna go ahead and create a U property. I want my IMC default to be able to edit it anywhere. I want it to be something like blueprint read only. Lastly, I want my category to be equal to something like input. It's going to be categorized inside my inputs section. Then I'm going to go ahead and create something like a U input mapping context, which is going to be represented by a pointer called something like mapping context. Okay, perfect. Then I go ahead and end this with a semicolon. And that's pretty much it now. Basically, what my mapping context is, if I open my Unreal Engine and I go to my IMC default, this is my mapping context. The enhanced input thing that I did was I linked my users as enhanced input, my players as controller to like this section here. Okay, that's it. That's pretty much it. Now I'm going to go all the way down here. That's pretty much it for my begin places content. Next up, I'm going to go ahead and add a comment here that says something like move function. I declared a move function in my header files. I'm going to define it in my C++ file. So I'm going to go with something like a white function called something like move with a pair of parentheses. Actually, a white function from my age roles class called move, which requires a constant parameter of a f input action value. There we go. That requires the memory address of a values parameter. Then I'm going to go with a pair of curly braces. Now, inside my while move function, I'm going to do something. For example, I'm going to add a comment that says scale value, because in order for me to actually add a movement input or a movement input component, I do need like a scale value and a word action. So I got to go ahead and create those things. For my scale value, I'm going to use a f vector 2D. Basically, what the f vector 2D does is it like stores all my two-dimensional values like my x-axis, y-axis, and z-axis inside of it. There we go. My f vector 2D is going to be represented by a local variable called something like movement vector. There, which is going to be equal to the get function. I don't think it's a function. I'm going to go with get with a pair of ankle braces. I'm going to go ahead and add my f vector 2D. F vector 2D. There we go, and then a pair of parentheses to invoke the function, ending with a semicolon. Now, what the get does is I get my x-axis value, y-axis value, and my z-axis value from my f vector 2D that stores my movement vector, if that makes any sense, guys. But I still see a red underline here. And why is my default mapping in a red underline? Did I spell it wrong? Oh, this is going to be default mapping. Guys, we gotta make sure of our typos up here. There we go. Now let's give it a while to actually fix that part. Okay, speaking of which, I go with something like f vector is going to be equal to get is undefined. I'm positive I go with a get here, right? Okay, yeah, I go with a get. I'm pretty sure it's not like a lowercase get, because that wouldn't make sense. Yeah, it's a uppercase get. Let's go with something like get f vector 2D. I mean, I guess it's correct. Okay, once I'm done with that, I'm going to go ahead and add a statement. I'm just going to skip this to see if I actually remember what goes here. Speaking of which, I'm going to go with something like if statement and check something like if my controller is not equal to null PDR. While my controller did not return null, I'm going to do something. I'm going to go ahead and create a constant f rotator, which is going to be represented by a rotations as local variable that is going to be equal to, let's think. Guys, the funny fact is, I actually know what's going to be equal to. I talk so much, I forget it. There we go. I'm going to go ahead and point my controller towards my get control rotation. There, let's go with the pair of parentheses to invoke the function ending with a semicolon. And then I'm going to go ahead and create another constant f rotator that is going to be represented by a local variable called something like yaw rotation. Okay, which is going to be a function actually that requires three parameters. First is going to be 0. Second is going to be my rotations as local variable up there dot the yaw, and yaw is basically in charge of me rotating in the x-axis, and pitch is in charge of me rotating in the y-axis. The third parameter is going to be 0 as well, ending with a semicolon. Now let's go ahead and fix my get up here real quick. Oh, I see. I gotta go with something like my value.get. Guys, I'm telling you guys, like, I remember all this thing. Like, I talk so much, I forget everything I gotta say. Like, I have everything, like, stored inside my memory. Like, what all I gotta add here? Okay, now let's go ahead and add a word direction because my movement inputs this function does require a scale value, which I did create, and a world direction as well. For my world direction, let's say I'm going to go ahead and create a f vector. So a floating point vector, which is going to be represented by a local variable called something like forward direction. This is going to be in charge of checking if my player is facing in front or behind him, in the east or west, which is going to be equal to, let's go with something like a rotation matrix. What's your favorite project to build? Honestly, actually, I do like to build like let's see. I mean, I've actually never like thought of that stuff, but then I actually like to build any kind of project that's a bit complex, but I do want to know all the syntax and functions too, because I don't enjoy the project where I don't really know like the basic concepts of it, but if I do know what I'm actually doing, that makes it really fun, guys. Okay, let's go with something like an F rotation matrix. Okay, did I spell this wrong? So my forward direction is going to be equal to, let's go with interless, and I'm going to go with something like rotation matrix. Guys, when was the last time the the interlessors actually put some effort into helping me? There, F rotation matrix with a pair of parentheses, and now my F rotation matrix is going to be requiring a parameter of my yaw rotation. Okay, then I'm going to go with something like the dot get unit axis. I'm going to go ahead and get my unit axis. Okay, with a scope resolution operator, actual scope resolution operator, a pair of parentheses to invoke the function. Okay, then I'm going to have a parameter of something like e-axis with a scope resolution operator of something like my x-axis, ending with a semicolon. And that's like pretty much it for this part. Next up, I'm going to go ahead and add my another world direction, which is going to be in charge of checking whether or not I'm looking towards the left or right. For example, I'm going to go with something like a f vector. Okay, which is going to be pointing towards something like a right direction. Let's go with right direction. Okay, that is going to be equal to something like f rotation matrix with a pair of parentheses that requires a parameter of my yaw rotation. Okay, dot the get unit axis. Okay, with a pair of parentheses that requires a parameter of my e-axis is y-axis, ending with a semicolon. And that was basically my world direction created, my scale value created, and and which way my camera faces depending on my player. Okay, now I'm gonna go ahead and add another comment that says something like add movement input. Let's go ahead and add my movement input. So for my movement input, I'm going to go ahead and use the add movement inputs function. My add movement inputs function requires two parameters. It requires a world direction, which I did create, and a scale value, which I did create as well. I'm going to ignore my boolean of force. So firstly, my world direction is going to be my forward direction. Okay, and then my scale value is going to be my movement vector. Dot the x-axis, actually dot the y-axis, because I want to move in the y-axis when I move forward or backwards. This is going to be movement vector. Guys, I keep making so many typos. Let's go with something like vector. Okay, perfect. Now, once I'm done with that, I'm going to go ahead and end this with a semicolon, and then add another movement input. There we go, with a row of parentheses. There, I want to add my right direction as my world direction. Let's go with something like right direction. Okay, and then I'm gonna be adding, let's say, a scale value, which is basically gonna be my movement vector. So I'm gonna go with something like movement vector dot the x-axis, ending with a semicolon. And that's like right about it. Okay, so lastly, once I'm done with all that, I'm gonna go under my player input component, and I'm gonna go ahead and bind my Unreal Engine's content with my Visual Studio's actual functionalities, if that made any sense, guys. So I'm gonna go with something like a if statement to check something like if my U enhanced, did I spell enhanced wrong? Correct, E-N-H-A-N-C-D, okay. If my U enhanced input component, which is going to be represented by a pointer called something like EIC, that's like pretty sharp for it, that's pretty convenient too. If that is equal to something like a cast checked, I'm gonna check a cast, okay, of something like U enhanced input component. There we go. Then I'm gonna go ahead and do something. I'm gonna add a pair of parentheses here and add my player input component in here. Can you ask GPT if there's a seahorse emoji? Huh, seahorse emoji? Do you mean like in the chats? Let me actually check. Okay, there we go. And then I'm gonna go with a pair of curly braces. Okay, let me check if there's a seahorse emoji in the chats, because I haven't actually thought of that. I mean, there's a snail emoji. There's snail, there's all that stuff. Guys, I did not actually see a seahorse emoji. Is there a way that we can actually add literal emojis to our chat? I have never thought of that. But there's a snail emoji. I feel like that's kind of cool, honestly. Okay, is that even a snail? Never mind, guys. That's not a snail. That does not look like a snail. Okay, that said, next up, I'm gonna go ahead and let's say add another if statement. Actually, not if statement. I'm gonna add a comment that says something like bind IA move. So I'm gonna go ahead and bind my IA move. To do that, I'm gonna go with something like my EIC, my enhanced input component, that points towards a bind action. Now, my bind action requires a bunch of parameters. The first is going to be my action name, which in this case is going to be my move action. I feel motivated now, guys. That's actually pretty insane. Okay, let's go with something like move action. The second parameter is going to be, let's see, it's going to be a trigger type. So I'm going to go with something like a E-trigger event with a scope resolution operator of something like a triggered event. So this is going to be triggered. Let's go TRIGGERED. So my event is going to be triggered every time I either hit W, A, S, or D. I'm either going to be moving forward, backwards, left, or right. And then I'm going to be requiring an object, which is going to be this. And then lastly, I might go with something like a function that I'm going to be needing. My function is going to be the memory address from my Advon. There we go. From my Advon's class, I'm going to go ahead and get my move function. Okay, that's pretty much it. Then I end this with a semicolon. Okay, so now I should be able to move forward, backwards, left, and right. Okay, that's pretty much it. Let's go ahead and Control S to save the code, Control S to save the code. Let's open my Unreal Engine. Inside my Unreal Engine, I'm going to go to something like my content drawer. And then under my C/C++ classes, I'm going to open my project tree and drag and drop my drones' capsule here. Okay, now let's go ahead and go a bit higher. Okay, let's go ahead and extend my details panel. What up, guys? There we go. Excuse me, guys. And the reason I can't see my camera right now is because I did not live compile. Let's live compile this real quick. While it's compiling, I might eat something as well. Okay, I had a typo up here. There, so it's visible anywhere, blueprint, CATE. There's going to be a G here. Okay, category, CATEGORY. Guys, gotta be really careful for like typos. That said, I'm gonna go ahead and exit that, open my Unreal Engine up here real quick. Let's type something like live compile. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and live compile this part. Okay, let's see. So, why does it say fail again? Did I actually... did I not fix my typo? CATEGORY. That should fix it, guys. Now let's go to my Unreal Engine again, type something like live compile again. And this should work. Okay, while it's compiling, I might actually eat something as well, because I'm kind of starving. Why does it keep saying I keep messing up? Okay, so it says add mapping context has an error. I had a typo there as well, most likely. Let's go with something like add mapping context. Okay, add mapping context is going to be default mapping. I am going to be needing a priority of 0. I forgot to do that. Now let's hit Control S to save the code. Okay, let's go with something like live compile. Let's go ahead and compile this. Guys, I'm positive this should be perfect now. Okay, let's go ahead and eat again. Okay, perfect. Now I got a camera here for my drone as well. And my spring arm component. The red thing is my spring arm component and the blue thing is my camera. Now I'm going to click the plus here for my drone and add a static mesh to it. Okay, here's the thing. I mean, I want to add like maybe a cylinder for my drone because actually I'll go with a cone. Okay, because I actually do not know what do I use for like my literal camera. I'm going to go with something like R to scale. Let's go ahead and scale it down a bit. There, guys, I hope this looks like a pretty good drone. Let's go with up. I'm going to go with something like E to rotate. I'm going to rotate it this way. Guys, this looks more like a... I forgot what it's called. But this looks more like a thing trying to attack or something. I forgot what it's called. Is it called like a spike or something? Okay, maybe I want to go to my pivot point. So I'm going to rotate it again. So I'm going to go with my static mesh of my cone. Okay, let's hit something like E to rotate. I'm going to rotate it, let's say 90 degrees. There. What's that? That was, I think, negative 160 degrees. Okay, let's... Oh, I didn't completely rotate. I'm going to hit E again. There, that's perfect. Now, I'm going to go with W. I'm going to get myself inside the capsule. Okay, I am very much in the capsule, so that's good. Am I in the capsule? I'm not in the capsule from this side. Guys, this is the worst. This is like the thing that I did not like to do at all. I want to go ahead and get myself in the capsule. I mean, many of you guys did tell me it's going to be so much easier if I use a blueprint to do this. There. Maybe I go a bit back. Okay, I think that's good. I am completely inside the capsule. And guys, I do not have like a literal drone image, so this should work for now. Speaking of which, I'm going to go ahead and click my drone, scroll all the way down, go to my follow camera. Now I'm going to move my follow camera to be staring at my drone. I'm going to go with something like E and like rotate it a little. Okay, go with something like W to go a bit in front, go a bit higher, a bit to the back. There. Okay, I think that's good. I'm going to go with E again. Going to rotate myself a little lower. Okay, gonna go with W, go a bit higher, go a bit in front. There, that should be good. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and live compile again and run the code and see. So I'm gonna live compile. Okay, let's wait for it to live compile. And hold up, guys, before I actually run the code, I forgot a really important stuff. I'm gonna go ahead and exit this part. Let's type something like input. I'm gonna click the instance of my follow camera. Let's click the instance of my follow camera. I'm gonna type something like input. I created like in my U property, I added like a bunch of categories of camera and like input. The category that I added for input is like right here. I gotta go ahead and set that to IMC default, set this to IA move. I did not add my scan action yet, so I'm gonna ignore that for the time being. And now let's go ahead and live compile. Once I'm done with this, I'm gonna run the code and I should be able to move perfectly. There we go. Let's go ahead and run the code now. Okay, my bad, guys. I forgot to do one thing. I gotta go ahead and add my possess as well. I forgot to go ahead and set my possess to be 0. Okay, perfect. Now let's go ahead and live compile again. I'm gonna go with something like live compile. Let's run the code. Okay. There we go. Let me go ahead and run the code now. That was successful. Now, this is my camera. I can go ahead and move in front and backwards. Guys, if you guys don't see, there's like a tiny cone down here. Yeah, I gotta like fix that up real quick. Like, the cone is right here. Okay, I gotta like fix myself up real quick. Like, my camera's in position. Okay, I forgot to check if my ASD works as well. Okay, gonna go here. Let's go to my actual camera. I'm gonna go to follow camera. I'm gonna go a bit back. There, I think that should be good. Let's go ahead and hit something like live compile. I'm gonna go ahead and compile real quick. I'm positive this should be good, but there's the thing. I want my drone to actually fly. He kinda does not fly. There we go. I can move forward, I can move backwards, I can move towards the left, and I can move towards the right using enhanced inputs. But that's not actually enough. I want to do more. Let's say, for example, I want to go ahead and add myself. I want to add turn as well for myself. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and add a few legacy mappings here as well. Okay, for example, I'm going to add two. First one is going to be for turn because I want to be able to turn. Actually, I'm just going to add one. I don't want to add a pitch. Just how it works. There. I want to turn depending on where my mouse moves in the x-axis. That should be perfect. This is going to be called something like turn. Okay, perfect. Now, I'm going to go ahead and open my Visual Studio as well. In my Visual Studio, I'm going to go ahead and let's say create a void function called something like turn that requires a floating point parameter of value ending with a semicolon. And guys, it's going to be really easy to add turn because I'm using legacy inputs and not like actual enhanced inputs here. Okay, now to add my turn, I'm going to go under my move function and create another function. This is going to be called a void function called something like turn. Actually, my turn function is going to be from my drones class, which requires a turns function here. Okay, that requires a memory address of value. Okay, and then I go with a pair of curly braces. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and add a controller, your input, that requires a floating point parameter of my value, ending with a semicolon. And that was like pretty much it, guys. I'm gonna go ahead and add a bunch of spaces here and add a player input component. I wanna go ahead and bind an access to it. And bind access is kind of different from bind action. I require lesser parameters. For example, the first parameter is going to be my access name, which is going to be turn. Second is going to be an object, which is going to be this drawn object. Third is going to be a function, which is going to be the memory address of my drawn classes, let's say turn function. And then I end this with a semicolon. Okay, let's go ahead and hit Control S to save the code. Control S to save the code. Open my Unreal Engine here. Let's go ahead and live compile. Okay, and guys, I gotta go ahead and add the scan logic as well. I wonder how would I do that. Maybe I eat something real quick. There we go, let's go ahead and run the code. Now, if I were to look to the left and to the right, I can turn, I can move as well by turning around. So that looks like a pretty good drone. Okay, but here's the thing. I want to only turn when I click my right mouse button. So I might do that as well. I'm going to go to my inputs. I'm going to go ahead and add another input. This is going to be called an action input, where I'm going to go ahead and set something like IA underscore RMB. RMB stands for right mouse button. So only while my right mouse button is being clicked, I want to be able to turn around and all that stuff. That said, I'm going to go ahead and double click this. That's going to be a digital boolean. Okay, let's go ahead and exit that. Now I'm going to add, let's say, a input mapping context. Okay, let's go ahead and just refresh that real quick. There we go. Okay, I'm going to add an input mapping context for something like IA underscore RMB. And that requires, or that works when I only click my right mouse button. Okay, perfect. Now I'm going to go down here. I'm going to create, let's say, something like a IA underscore RMB, which is my right mouse button. I'm going to be requiring a U property for it, where I want to be able to edit it anywhere. I want it to be blueprint read only. Lastly, I want my category, let's go with something like category, to be equal to something like inputs. Okay, and then once I'm done with that, I'm going to go ahead and create a U input action. Okay, which is going to be represented by a pointer called something like RMB action. Okay, ending with a semicolon. Now let me go ahead and drink some water. I just realized I've been just swallowing the oats without chewing it properly. Kind of choking, guys. Okay, let me go ahead and open this real quick. Guys, I gotta be more hydrated these days. Let's just go ahead and keep it there. Now, CATEGORY. Okay, I spelled everything correct. I'm going to hit Control S to save the code. Would I need a function? Maybe I would need two functions. I might go with something like Boolean function check. Actually, this is going to be my Boolean functions. It's not going to be literal Boolean functions, but then I'm going to be having something like a void function called something like RMB underscore pressed. Okay, with a pair of parentheses ending with a semicolon. And a void function called RMB underscore release, because I'm going to be having two different states, me pressing RMB and me releasing RMB. Let's go with Boolean checks. This is going to be my Boolean checks. Let's go with Boolean functions. Boolean checks. Now, for my Boolean checks, I'm going to create a Boolean variable of something like a Boolean variable of is RMB pressed. Is my RMB pressed? Okay, and actually I'm going to set that to be true initially, ending with a semicolon. When I first start my code, my RMB is not going to be pressed when my program is first run. Okay, let's just wait for this. It's just my compiler at this point. So once I'm done with this, Boolean is RMB, RMB pressed, RMB released. Okay, that's correct. I'm going to hit Control F to save the code. Go to my C++ file now. In my C++ file, I'm going to go ahead and add another function. I forgot. Maybe I'm going to go ahead and add a comment that says something like turn function. Guys, it's really important to like add comments because without that, it gets really hard to read the code. Turn function. Okay, then I'm going to go ahead and maybe add a bunch of spaces up here so I know that this is a separate function. Add a bunch of spaces here as well. I'm going to add a comment that says something like RMB functions. Okay, so I'm going to create a void function from my drones class. Maybe not create, I'm going to define a function that has been declared inside the header files of my drones is called. The function is called RMB pressed. Okay, while my RMB is being pressed, I want to do something. Did I spell it correct? Okay, it's RMB underscore pressed. There. I'm going to go ahead and do something. Let's say, did I still spell it wrong? No, it's just my editor. I'm going to set my boolean of is RMB pressed variable to be something like true. My RMB has been pressed here. Okay. And then I'm going to go ahead and create another void function from my drones class called something like RMB underscore released. Okay, with a pair of parentheses. Then I'm going to add a pair of curly braces. Now, when my RMB is released, I'm going to set my boolean variable of is RMB pressed is going to be equal to false, ending with a semicolon. Now, I don't really want my mouse to be seen when I'm pressing my RMB, so I'm going to do something for that as well. Okay, so to do that, I might go with something like, let's think. RMB pressed, RMB released. So, when my RMB is pressed, I'm gonna go with something like an if statement, and let's say something like a player controller. Okay, if my a player controller, okay, which is going to be represented by a pointer called something like PC, let's say is not equal to, let's go with something like a null PDR, which is a placeholder for pointers. Okay, why is there a red underline here? Okay, condition declaration must be include an initializer. A condition declaration must include an initializer. Okay, condition declaration. Let me think this part through. Hold up, guys. I think I did something wrong here. Expected a pair of parentheses. Expected a pair of parentheses? Where'd that come from? Even if I add one, it doesn't like change a thing. Excuse me, guys. Okay, wait, let me think this part through. If my controller is not... Oh, wait, I think I should go with something like if my controller is not equal to null PDR, then I'm gonna do something. I'm gonna go ahead and set my controller pointing towards the boolean variable of show mouse cursor, okay, to be equal to something like false. I do not want to show my mouse cursor, ending with a semicolon. If it doesn't point towards it, should I go with something like just a regular boolean? Maybe I go here to... I mean, this is a check. Okay, this part. A class controller has no member of show mouse cursor. I need to go with my player controller. A player controller, which is going to be represented by PCs, is variable. I was positive this should have been correct. Okay. Maybe I go ahead and just copy this part real quick because I actually forgot the syntax for this. Gonna go with Control C. It's not like I actually forgot it. It's just like, whatchamacallit. I kind of don't remember stuff when I'm talking so much. Let's say something like, let's say, I forgot the syntax that goes for not showing my mouse cursor. Okay, let's see. Okay, let's do the correction view show mouse cursor, so it's going to be a PC. Oh, I see. So if my player controller, which is going to be represented by PCs as variable, is equal to, let's go with something like a cast of something like a player controller, okay, with a pair of parentheses of something like controller. Okay, then I'm gonna go ahead and set my controller to point towards a boolean variable of show mouse cursor, which is going to be set to false. Show mouse cursor. Okay, that's correct. Now I'm gonna go ahead and do the same thing for my drone released as well. I'm gonna go with if a pair of parentheses. Let's say if my a player controller is, which is going to be represented by a local variable of PC, is equal to, let's go with something like a cast of something like a player controller, okay, with a pair of parentheses of controller. Okay, then I'm gonna go with a pair of curly braces. And let's say I'm gonna do something. I'm gonna go ahead and point my, not controller, I'm gonna point my player controller, which is my PC, towards my mouse cursor. I'm gonna go ahead and point my player controller towards my boolean variable of something like show mouse cursor. There we go. That is going to be set to true here, ending with a semicolon. Okay guys, that was actually a handful. I'm going to remember that from next time. Okay, speaking of which, I'm going to go all the way down here now, and let's say bind a few other actions. For example, I'm going to go with something like enhance input action. I'm going to bind a action. My action is going to be called something like RMB action. Okay, and then I'm going to go with something like a e-trigger event. My event is going to be started this time because, excuse me guys, because unlike input checks, the trigger event is like, there's a certain point when it started and a certain point when my task is completed. In this case, it's going to be completed with my boolean of is RB pressed is going to be set to false. If that made any sense, I'm going to go with started. Okay, then I'm going to go with an object of this and then a function. I'm going to go ahead and get my function, which is going to be from my a drones class, my trone. My function is going to be called something like, I forgot. I think it's going to be RMB underscore pressed. When my RMB is pressed, that's when my mouse is going to be showing and my player can actually turn around. In the other hand, when my EIC, I'm going to go with something like a bind action. Okay, this is going to be my RMB action. I'm going to go with a e-trigger event. Okay, this is going to be completed. And then I'm going to go ahead and set this as my object and go with the memory address of my H drones is RMB underscore released, ending with a semicolon. So, for my second action, when my RMB released function is actually checked, that means my RMB, my boolean variable of is RMB pressed is going to be set to false. Then it is set to false. My trigger event is going to be completed on this object, so I don't want my mouse cursor to be shown. I want my mouse cursor to be shown now. So I'm going to hit Control S, and a really important part for my turn function. I'm going to copy my RMB check here. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and delete that. I'm going to scroll all the way up here. Paste it before my move function, because I'm going to go ahead and apply an if statement for my turn function. Inside my turn function, I'm going to go ahead and add an if statement. To check something, I'm going to check if my boolean variable of is RMB pressed is set to true, and that's when I want to go ahead and add my movement controller. I'm gonna paste this here, and then let's go ahead and change it to lowercase b, and then hit Control S to save the code. Now I'm gonna open my Unreal Engine, go to something like map, type something like live compile. I'm gonna go ahead and compile my code real quick. While it's compiling, I might eat some oats real quick. I think this is gonna be my final bites. What up, guys? There, so it has been successfully patched. If I run the code, I can move my mouse now, but if I right click, I cannot turn because I made a small mistake up here. I gotta go ahead and let's go with something like input. I forgot to set my I_RMB here. Okay, now let's go ahead and live compile. There. Okay, let's wait for it to live compile real quick. There we go. Let's go ahead and end this with a semicolon. I mean, not end this with a semicolon. Let's go ahead and exit that. Run the code real quick. If I right click, I can turn around. If I stop right clicking, I don't need to turn around. So only when I right click is when I can turn around. There. And then if I don't, I can see my mouse. Okay, that's actually perfect. Okay, let's go ahead and exit this. And that works. Now I have a small question. Like, this is the easier part. Like, almost like I could do this like easily, but the second part is I can go ahead and add a sprint action, all that stuff, but I don't want to really do that because I'm not flying in the sky. Maybe I go with Control A, Control C, guys. This is the part where Gemini actually comes in to rescue, to save the day, I guess. Let's go ahead and paste this. So Shift Enter. Go to my drones with header files. Go with Control A, Control C. Get Gemini up here. Okay, let's paste it. Let me go with Shift Enter and see something nice and say. Okay, how do I add states where my player can stay on the where my drone can stay on the floor if I press L. If I press, let's go with something like press L, and my player can be on the sky if I press let's say F question mark. Okay, because I've never worked with a player actually levitating or like floating above the ground level type stuff. That's listen to me. You're moving from a single character to a multi-state machine to make the drone fly or stay on the ground. You must master movement modes of the engine. The architect does not just move the object; they define physics of the realm of it. It inhabits, I see. Okay, the Ascension Protocol, flight versus walking. To switch between sky and floor, you need to change movement modes. Within the character movement component, when you're flying, gravity is ignored and you can move vertically. I see. The header setup, okay, you need 2 new input actions. Okay, so I'll need a fly action, a land action, a start fly function, a start landing function. The implementation.c++ logic, you will use a setup movement input to tell the engine how to treat the drone. Include game framework, character movement component.h, make sure this is at the top, okay. Void a drone start flying function. Okay, this is my start flying function. I get my character movement, I set movement mode, movement mode. Move_flying. Where did I create my move_flying from? Or is it something that... Is this something that Unreal really has? I see. And then I go with a G engine to add on screen. I want to add a debug message on screen, which is -1. I've never seen -1 for my key. 2.0f, okay, cyan, drone ascending. Okay, and then a void, a drone start landing. Switch back to walking, gravity pulls you down. Okay, move walking. Did I create my move walking or move flying somewhere? I don't think so. No way Unreal Engine really has these function names. Okay, and then G engine, -1. This is going to be 2.0. Okay, F color, yellow, drone landing. Since it's technical inspection, the 3D movement, currently your move function only handles X and Y, forward and right. If you're flying, you need to go way up. Pro tip, in your move function, you can check if you're flying. If you are, you can use movement vector to also move in the z-axis. That's gonna be insane, honestly. Okay, up, down, or create a separate input for vertical lift. Okay, binding the commas, don't forget to do this. Okay, so that part's easy actually. Okay, so firstly, I'm gonna go ahead and copy this part and paste it here. The reason I just copy and paste it first is to check if it like really works before I actually implement the logic type stuff. I'm gonna add a bunch of spaces just to say this is the new part. And then I'm gonna go to my C++ file. Firstly, let's include my headers. So I'm gonna go ahead and include something from my game framework. I wanna go ahead and include my character movement components. There we go, .h, which is my character movement components as header files. Okay, and that's like pretty much it. Let's hit Control S to save the code. Let's get Gemini back up here. I'm gonna copy this part as well. Okay, now let's go all the way down here. So my move function could maybe go here. I'm gonna add a bunch of spaces just to say that this is the new part that I gotta learn. There, I'm gonna delete this from here. There, so this is start flying, that is drone, G engine, all the basic stuff. I mean, I do know how to use these things, but I haven't used the set movement mode, E movement mode of flying. Okay, and lastly, I gotta go ahead and bind my axes as well, so I'm gonna go ahead and copy this. I mean, I can literally like type this. This is like easy to type and all that stuff, but I'm kind of lazy, so I want to check if it works first. That's just an excuse. I just want to like play with me actually moving around. Okay, that said, I'm gonna go ahead and type something like, actually I'm gonna live compile first. Let's go ahead and live compile. There we go. While it's compiling, I want to drink some water because I'm kind of thirsty. Okay, perfect. It says successfully linked. Now I'm gonna go ahead and exit this. I get two new actions. First is going to be a fly action that I'm going to go ahead and create here. Let's go with something like an action. I'm going to call this something like IA_fly. And then I'm going to go with another action. This action is going to be called something like IA_walk. I mean, what was my input actions called again? Was it called land or something? Fly, land. I'll go with my gut, guys. I think it's called land. IA_land. Okay, perfect. Let's go to my drone here, and then in my drone, I have, there we go, a land action. Let's go with IA_land, a fly action, IA_fly, and that's about it. I'm gonna go ahead and live compile again, guys. I want to use a restroom as well. Let's go with something like live compile. Let's see if this part works. Okay, it's compiling. Let's wait for it to compile. Results succeeded. Let's wait for the patch to be linked as well. Now let's run the code. I can turn around. When I hit a certain button, for example, F, can I fly? I can fly. How do I fly? E? D? How do I fly? Hold on, guys. Let me read the code real quick. Okay, where are my checks? Fly action, bound to... Oh, my bad, guys. Hold on, guys. I forgot to go ahead and add those things in my default stuff here. I'm going to go with plus. And I'm going to go with... I'm going to maybe delete this plus from here. I'm going to go with something like plus. There we go. Let's go ahead and add something. This is going to be for my IA fly. I want to fly when I go ahead and click something like F. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and add another input. I'm going to go with something like IA land. I want to land when I click something like L. Let's go with something like L. Okay, perfect. And then I'm going to go ahead and go to my map. Let's go to content drawer. I'm going to double click my land, change this to something like a two-dimensional vector. Go to my land again. Let's go to something like fly, change that to a two-dimensional vector. And now let's go ahead and live compile. There we go. Okay, let's wait for this to be done. While it's being patched, I might decrease my... There we go, outliner, so I have a bigger window. Let's run the code. Okay, moment of truth, guys. If I hit F... Okay, it says a drone ascending. Why am I still... Guys, that doesn't look like fly. I'm not even moving right now. Let's go with drone ascending. I mean, it does work. I just gotta add the... Why am I still moving? Okay, let's go with the drone landing. Okay. Let it delete. I mean, where am I flying? Am I really flying? Whoop. I think I gotta keep something like F. Am I still falling? Hold up, guys. Let me run the code again. I want to test that out again. I'm gonna hit something like F. Should I like keep pressing F? Am I flying, guys? I really am flying. There is no gravity. Okay, let's go back. I mean, I'm flying. I want to go upwards. I can actually do that. What if I hit L? Oh, I see how I'm flying. Guys, this is not flying. I'm levitating. Okay, I see. I can add the rest logic because, okay, I just wanted to see if it works. Now that it works, I can go ahead and add my own logic too. This is going to be flying. That's going to be landing. Now, when I hit a certain button, I want to go higher. I want to go ahead and move my x-axis to go up. And then I want to add pitch as well. So I'm going to go ahead and open my Unreal Engine, go to something like, let me just run the code real quick and then exit. There we go. I'm going to go to my project settings. I'm going to go ahead and add another axis mapping called something like turn. Actually, this is going to be lookup. I'm going to go ahead and look up. I'm going to look up based on where my mouse moves in the y-axis. Okay, perfect. And now, let's see. Okay, what is the function that I added here? Start flying, get character movement, set movement mode, mode fly, and then G engine. That's the basic stuff. -1. Okay, that's my key. Now, I want to go ahead and move my character up. I think I gotta go ahead and add a few more view properties. The first is going to be for something like E. So I might go to something like my Unreal Engine, go to map, go here. Oops, go to Unreal Engine, go to my content drawer, go under my inputs section. Then I have fly, I have land. I did not use my scanton. Now I'm gonna like hold on to that. I'm gonna right click, go with something like action. I'm gonna go ahead and create another action. What is action foliage? I've never heard of that. Okay, so for my next action, let's say I want to go ahead and go higher when I click E. So this is going to be IA_E. Okay, this is going to push me higher. I'm going to go to my input defaults, going to click plus. I'm going to go ahead and set this to something like IAE. This is going to be E. When I click E, I want to go higher. In my U properties, I'm going to go ahead and let's say add a U property here. Call something like IA_E. For my IA_E, I'm going to create a U property where I want it to be I want to be able to edit it anywhere, so I'm going to go with edit anywhere. I want to be blueprint read only. I want my blueprint to only be able to read it but not actually change it. And I want to categorize it inside a category called something like inputs. There we go. And then I'm going to go ahead and create a U input action, okay, which is going to be represented by a pointer called something like E action, ending with a semicolon. And then let's say I want to create a function to maybe add these to your input categories. Okay, that's different. I'm going to go to my Boolean presses, E pressed, E released. So I'm going to go with something like a void function right here, okay, called something like void function of E_pressed. I think the R should be lowercase, ending with a semicolon, and another void function of E_released with a parentheses, ending with a semicolon. And then, why do I keep spelling the second one as voice? I did that last time as well. I'm going to go with a boolean of a boolean is E pressed, which is initially going to be false, ending with a semicolon. Let's hit Ctrl S to save the code. Now I'm going to go to my drone.c++ file. In my CPP file, let's see if there's anything I want to do. Maybe I'm going to go all the way down here, add let's say something like a void function from my A drone. I'm going to define the function that I declared in my header files of ePress. There we go. Okay, fill the prof curly braces. Now I'm going to check something. Let's see. Whenever my E is being pressed, I'm going to set my B is E pressed variable. I'm going to go ahead and set that to be something like true, ending with a semicolon. And then I'm going to go ahead and add a if statement to check if my A player controller, let's go with player, if my A player controller, which is going to be represented by a PC's this variable, is equal to cast with a prof ankle braces A player controller. Okay, then I'm going to go with a prof parentheses and I'll go with something like controller. There. If this whole thing is actually true, then I'm going to do something. I'm going to add a prof curly braces. I'm going to point my PC towards a boolean variable of show mouse cursor. I'm going to go with something like show mouse cursor. And guys, the reason I can't explain this right now properly is because I'm kind of brain dead. Let's go with cursor because I am kind of exhausted right now. Okay, let's go with something like true. Maybe I fix that by bringing some water. Okay, I mean, this is getting kind of fun though. The only thing that I'm lacking on is actually having fun meshes and like stuff to use. So I gotta probably work a lot this Tuesday stream, and I'm gonna be having Blender on. There we go. Okay. Did I spell it wrong? Oh, it's show mouse cursor. There we go. Okay, and guys, this Tuesday, let me know like what you may call it, my Discord server, like what all meshes is going to be really important. I think I want to make a drone game. It's kind of fun actually. So with released with a prof parentheses and then a prof curly braces. I'm gonna go with something like boolean of is e pressed. Actually, yeah, is e pressed, which is going to be false because my e is no longer pressed once it's being released. If it is released, I'm just gonna save some time, copy that and paste it here. There we go. Okay, and then I'm gonna go ahead and change this to be something like false. And now that's pretty much it. Once I'm done with those, I'm gonna scroll, let's say somewhere all the way down here until I don't find my turn function. Under my turn function, I'm gonna go ahead and add another comment that says something like lookup function. For my lookup function, I'm gonna create a void function called something like a drone, which uses the scope resolution operator to point towards my lookups function that requires a floating point parameter of value. Then I'm gonna go with the prof curly braces. And then just like that, I'm gonna create a void function here in my header files and declare a lookup function that requires a floating point parameter of value ending with a semicolon. Okay, now I'm gonna go back to my C++ file. In my C++, okay, now I'm gonna check something. I wanna look up, so if a prof parentheses, if my is RMB pressed, RMBP or ESOCD, if my RMB is pressed, and if my boolean variable of is e pressed is set to true, that's the only time I want to go ahead and add a controller. Let's go with something like pitch input, which requires a floating point parameter of value ending with a semicolon. Okay, and then I'm gonna go ahead and scroll all the way down here. And then let's bind something as well. So I'm gonna go with something like player input component, which points towards, let's say something like a bind access. Okay, my access name is going to be something like lookup. I want to apply that on this function. And then I'm going to give the memory address of my Atrons class. This is going to be the lookup function, ending with a semicolon. Okay, now, am I missing something? I'm pretty sure that I want to add something more. Maybe I want to go ahead and add a G engine to like display text when I'm flying. Maybe, once I'm flying up, once I'm actually flying up, maybe somewhere in my functions right here, E press, when I press E, I want to fly up. So I'm gonna go with something like a G engine that points towards a display debug message. What's this the function name? It's add on screen debug message. Okay, I'm gonna point towards the add on screen. Okay, let's go with something like add on screen debug message. There we go with the prof parentheses. Now my add-on screen debug messages function requires a few parameters. First is going to be a key. I'm going to go with 1. Second is going to be a time, which is going to be whenever I actually press my E. So maybe I'm going to copy that. Delete this from here. My yaw only works when I fly, so it wouldn't even matter if I paste it here. There. Did I spell add-on screen debug message wrong? Let's copy that. Let's paste it here. Add-on screen debug message. And then my time is going to be 0.0f whenever I fly. And then the third parameter is going to be a color and a text. So I'm going to go with a color. I'm going to go with f color, which is going to be something like, I don't know, maybe red. I want it to be a dark color so I cannot miss it. Let's go with a red color. F color with a scope resolution operator of red. And then I'm going to add a text, which is going to be called something like, okay, you are flying. Okay, perfect. And then I'm going to go ahead and end that with a semicolon. That's right about it now. Lastly, I'm going to go to my bind action. I'm going to go with something like my enhanced input action, which points towards my bind actions as function. I want to, let's say, go ahead and bind my E action. Okay. I want to bind my E action. And then I want to add a E trigger event as well. I'm going to go with an E trigger event, where I'm going to go ahead and add started when I actually click my E, or when my flying is really going to begin. I'm going to go with this. Let's go with a drone. I'm going to go with something like E pressed function. Let's go with E pressed. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and end this with a semicolon. That is going to be a drone. There. Okay, did I spell this correct? E pressed. Is that what my function was called? There's a look up function. That's done. And then it's start flying, start landing. There we go. It's E underscore pressed. Okay, perfect. And then once I'm done with that, I'm going to go with another EIC enhanced input component, which points towards, using the arrow mark operator, I'm going to point towards my bind action. Now, my bind action is going to be having an action name, or requiring an action name, which is going to be E action. Second is going to be an E trigger event with a scope resolution operator of something like completed. I completed my event, which means I'm not clicking anything anymore. And then I'm going to go with the memory address of a drone with a scope resolution operator of something like E underscore released. And guys, I know I did not explain this properly at all. Okay, I'm going to go with the controllers to save the code. And now, let me open my Unreal Engine real quick. I'm going to go ahead and type something like live compile. There, let's go ahead and compile it. Okay, speaking of compiling, while it's actually compiling, I'm going to go ahead and extend this real quick. I'm going to go to my drones instance, go all the way down here till my E action, and link it to my IA underscore E. Okay, then let's go ahead and close this up real quick. Let's go ahead and live compile again. While it's compiling, I'm going to hydrate my lips this time. Guys, I forgot to check if we reached our like goal. Honestly, we need like 29 more likes if my math is correct, guys. I feel I'm kind of awful at math. Or is it 19? I think it's 19 more likes. Okay, that's let's go ahead and run the code real quick. So I'm going to go ahead and exit this. Whoops. Let's go ahead and exit that. Let's run the code. Now, I can move around. And only when my right button is clicked... Whoa. I should be able to fly when I'm doing it. It said you're flying. Whoops, I forgot to go into my flying mode. I don't fly. Let's go ahead and escape. I mean, yeah, that does make sense. I did not like add any kind of Z velocity increase or something. I want to add a Z velocity. So, this is going to be fly. Maybe I want to add a movement vector. So, I'm going to go here. Drone ascending, drone descending. Okay, so if I start flying. Okay, so start flying is going to be set to true. Wait, let me think something through real quick. Hold up, guys. RMB pressed, RMB released. And I just realized one thing. This is going to be negative value. There. Okay, now let me think one thing real quick, guys. Hold up. So I have a start flying. I'm assuming start flying should be the same as E pressed and E released. No, E pressed and E released is not the same thing as start flying. E pressed. Okay, when my E is pressed, I go ahead and I do the stuff. E pressed. This is going to be false. That is going to be true. Hold on, guys. I'm trying to think this part through real quick. I know it's really easy. It's like at the tip of my head. I just can't phrase it out. If I can't phrase it, I can't write it. Okay, let's think. So I need to get a z-axis. Where does my z-axis go? I could easily add it here. So I could add a player movement, look up when I'm looking up. Or when I start flying. When I start flying, I can add input axis. But the only time I really do fly is when this happens. So I'm going to copy this. I'm going to delete it from here. Going to go ahead and paste it here. There we go. It says something like you're flying, drone ascending, you're flying. Okay, I would not really need my drone ascending in this point. So I'm going to go here. There we go. And then I'm going to go ahead. This is a white function called look up. So I need my look up function. And my lookup function. Okay, I could go ahead and add control pitch input here, but I won't be having a parameter of fly. When I either look up and down, that's the time. Okay, so I don't really fly here, so I'm gonna go with a bunch of control Z's real quick. Hold on, guys. I think I almost got this part. There. That's my look up and down. I'm gonna go ahead and remove that. There. Now I'm gonna scroll all the way up here. When I'm flying, I'm gonna go ahead and add a movement. Okay, add movement vector, which can only be accessed here. So I'm gonna remove this. Now let's go ahead and add an if statement here. So I'm gonna go with something like an if statement. If a pair of parentheses. Let's say something like if my boolean variable of is E pressed is set to true, then I'm gonna go ahead and do something. I'm gonna add a pair of curly braces and I'm gonna add a movement vector. Okay, with a pair of parentheses that requires a world direction here. I'm gonna create a F vector for my world direction. Okay, this is gonna be called something like up vector. Up direction, I mean, which is going to be equal to a F rotation matrix that requires a parameter of my yaw rotation. Okay, dot the get unit axis. Let's go with something like get unit axis. Okay, of E axis is Z axis, ending with a semicolon. Okay, now I'm gonna go ahead and add my up direction here. My world direction is gonna be my movement vector dot the Z axis, ending with a semicolon. Add movement input. My bad, guys, not vector. There. Okay, and this is going to be the dot Z axis. Why can't I use the axis again? Has no member Z. I thought that there was X, Y, and Z. Okay, could it be because this is like a two-dimensional vector? Should I go with something like a three-dimensional vector? There's nothing called F vector 3D. Maybe I hit Control S, go with something like Control A, Control Z, copy that. So let's go ahead and get Gemini here. Let's paste it here, go with Shift Enter and say something like, say, for my up direction in my add movement vector, it says that movement vector, which is my scale value, has no member Z. And guys, I want to use a restroom real quick as well. I've been holding it in for a while. Okay, hold on, guys. Maybe I go ahead and mute myself real quick. I'm gonna use the restroom real quick and I'll be right back. Already mic testing, mic testing. Okay, perfect. Guys, I hope I didn't take that long. I mean, I don't think I took that long because I just came real quick. Okay, that's it. Let's see. Listen to me. You're trying to. Am I unmuted? Let me check that real quick. Okay, perfect. Alright, listen to me. You're trying to fly in 3D, but your compass only has two directions. You've declared movement vector as a f vector 2D, which is just x and y. Go to the sky, you need z. The architect cannot reach the colors if they cannot reach the clouds if they only measure the ground, said by Sensei. The fix f vector 3D versus f vector 2D. In move function, the value coming from your enhanced input needs to cast a full f vector which contains x, y, and z. Update your move function like this. Move function that requires value, f movement value. Just f vector, not 3D. Controller, constant, your rotation, f vector. And then use z for the world, f vector up direction. Up vector, so it says up vector. Up direction is going to be having a scope resolution operator of something like up vector, I see. And then add input up direction, movement vector dot z. Use z for constant up/down movement, up vector. I've never heard of what the up vector does. Okay, for the Z movement to actually have a value, you must check input action IA move asset inside the Unreal Engine, open IA move, change your value type from x-axis 2D to axis 3D vector in your mapping context, IMC default, make sure you have keys assigned to Z. Okay, I did all that stuff. Y views F vector, up vector, while F rotation matrix, your rotation.getUnitAxis E-axis Z works. It can sometimes get titled if your rotation isn't perfectly flat using f vector with a scope resolution operator of up vector ensures that your drone always flies straight up towards the sky regardless where the camera is looking at. Nah, I don't think I want to do that. Okay, I wanted to fly depending on where my camera is looking at. Okay, so let's go ahead and just change this to something like f vector, not two-dimensional anymore. I could therefore use this. This is going to be value.get vector. This is going to be something like f vector. Okay, perfect. Now let's hit control S to save the code. If I were to open my Unreal Engine here real quick, let's hit something like live. I'm going to go ahead and live compile real quick. While it's live compiling, I want to drink some water because I am kind of thirsty. Okay, it's a successfully passed. I'm not just going to run the code just yet. I'm going to go ahead and open my IA move. I'm going to change this to f vector 3D, three-dimensional now. I'm going to go to all those move things. Let's add another one. I have a separate WASDE. I mean, I could add that under the IA move, but I think it's kind of late. I'm going to change that to 3D as well. What's this? That's land. It's going to be 3D. This is going to be 3D. And then everything else is going to be 3D. Perfect. Okay, now let's go to something like input. I'm going to go ahead and extend my content drawer. I'll click on my object here. Wait, am I still running the code? Okay, let's click my drone here. I'm going to go with something like input. I set my E and all that stuff. I'm going to go ahead and decrease this. Now let's run the code. I can turn around. If I click E, I cannot move just yet, but if I hit F, and then I hit E, wait. Whoa. Can I look down? Hold up, guys, I'm kind of lost. Where am I going? Wait, I gotta fact check that part again, guys. Where was I at? I want to run the code again. Now, I'm gonna move forward. I will fall, unless I hit F. Okay, now let's go ahead and click something like, whoops. I'm gonna go ahead and click something like E. Right click and E. E. Okay, why does my E not work? Oh, I gotta go ahead and click this to turn down. Okay, let's go ahead and click E. Okay, I mean, the E doesn't work for some reason. Maybe because I don't move in the y-axis. Let's see the requirements for the E to work. If E is being pressed up direction, okay, I should be able to move in the z-axis, but I do not move in the z-axis. Okay, this is going to be E-axis, x-axis. add movement input while E is being pressed. I should be able to do that. Then while right is being pressed, I should be able to look up or I should be able to look down. This is pitch input. Okay, maybe I go ahead and try applying this part. Okay, maybe I try to apply this part. Let's go ahead and copy this part. Okay, let's go ahead and exit that. Let's scroll all the way up here. I'm gonna go ahead and remove my F vector from here and I'm gonna paste this F vector instead. Okay, this is going to be for my z-axis. Let's hit Control S to save the code. Open my Unreal Engine real quick. Let's type something like live compile. I'm gonna go ahead and live compile real quick. Now, while it's compiling, I'm gonna wait real quick. There we go. Once it's done compiling, I'm gonna go ahead and exit, run the code. Now, if I hit E while looking up, wait, something wrong. Oh, there we go. I mean, why am I not flying? Oh, maybe because, there we go. E, am I really flying? Can I not turn? Oh, I can turn, there we go. Okay, let's click something like E. Am I flying? Nope. Doesn't look like it. Am I really not flying? I mean, I'm levitating, but I'm not flying. If I hit something like L, I'm just gonna be dipping downwards. Okay, let's go ahead and escape. Let's go ahead and run the code. Escape again. There we go. Wait, did I just spam E's here? Why am I messing up? Why can I not fly? My target speed should be like a fixed target speed, but I can go upwards. Let's go with Control A, Control C, copy that. Let's go ahead and get a Gemini up here. Let me go ahead and paste this. Let me go ahead and copy this as well. Go with Control A, Control C, copy that. Let's get Gemini up here again. Let's go with Shift Enter, paste this, go with Shift Enter again and say something like, say, when I click, whoops, I didn't want to add caps. Let's say something like, when I click E, I don't fly. Okay, when I click F to fly, okay, I just float / levitate. And when I hit L, I fall down, but I can't go up or down while clicking E and moving where I want, moving where my camera is. If that made any sense, guys. Okay, speaking of which, listen to me. The logic is almost complete, but we have a communication breakdown between your fingers. Did I not bind them? I think I binded them. The input action, if your IA move is set to 2D axis, the engine is completely ignoring it. I have a whole different axis for it, by the way. The E requirement in the code, you have an add movement up direction. So go in your IA move. Oh, wait, hold up, guys. Okay, wait, I have this in my IA move, so I know where I messed up actually now. Okay, it's kind of annoying to mess up there though, but let's go ahead and set this as it is here, and then I'm gonna go with something like look up, this could be pitch value, blah blah blah. Only time I want to move is when that is being pressed. And then let's see. Okay, this is drone landing, that's sending. That start flying. I have a whole different function. Okay, my z-axis is here. I don't have an E. If I go here to something like content drawer, IE, where's my IE? There we go. Now my IE is going to be requiring, let's say, a 3D vector because I want to move as well. I'm going to go ahead and live compile. Go with live compile, go down, hit compile. Okay, this should work. Okay, it says succeeded. Let's wait for it to patch. Once it's done patching, I'm going to run the code. Now, let's ascend my drone if I hit something like E and look up. Did I just fly? Nope. Okay, still in the ground. Okay, kinda down to earth. I mean, I levitate, but I never fly. So I'm gonna go ahead and exit this real quick. Let's read everything that Gemini's gotta say. Okay, movement vectors and says technical inspection. Let me say something like, I don't have my IA under, I don't have my E in my move. I have a whole different IA underscore eases action input. Okay, this is going to be IA whole different IA underscore eases action input. I kind of see why it's wrong to do that now. Okay, listen to me. You separate the action, okay, the archetype, blah blah. Okay, so the move function. If B is pressed, so here's the logic that you need for the move function. If E is pressed, did I go with that? Okay, let's go up here. So if E is pressed, I did do that. Okay, then we use the world Z up. So up vector scale value is going to be 1. Okay, can't I use my regular... Oh, I see. I did not create a scale direction for like my E as well, but shouldn't this work for everything? Let's try by going something like 1. Let's go with something like 1.0 f. I mean, I'm pretty sure this is actually gonna work, but this is my move function's a scale value. I gotta create a scale value for another function as well. Okay, I mean, I'm positive this is gonna work this time. Let's go with something like live. Okay, I mean, it is recommended. Like, I think it would be recommended to like have my E button inside my move action as well. That was kind of stupid to not have it there. So now I'm gonna go ahead and click something like E. Okay. I still don't fly. He should be getting me up. Let me read the whole thing. Okay, this is going to be add movement input, F vector, up vector, and then 1.0 F. The constant speed of 1. Sensei's technical inspection. Why this works, I move handles your forward slash backward. Boolean E pressed acts as a gate when you hold E. Doesn't my function here? Oh wait, I think I know why. So, when I click F, so doesn't my E only work when I have my move function? So instead of E pressed and E released, I could go with something like another E action. This is going to be a whole separate E action. Okay, I guess I could just go ahead and go to my IMC default, go with something like a plus here. This is going to be something like E. If my E is being pressed, then I want to add a modifier. Should I go ahead and add some kind of modifier here? I don't have one for D, but I'm not going at the x-axis. Let me go to Gemini real quick. Okay, let me say something like Sensei. So, in my IMC underscore default, do I need a modifier for my E question mark? Because I just left it blank. Okay, let's see. Listen to me. You're the control tower of enhanced input systems, and if you leave a modifier blank using a separate input action, you might find control behaving like a glitchy satellite. The verdict: do you need a modifier? In your specific case, no, you don't need to add modifier for E if it's its own input action. Here's why. Modifiers are used when you want to change values. Okay, triggers are used to decide, so like hold or tap. Since your IAE, you're simply starting and stopping Boolean in your C++, leaving the modifier blank is perfectly fine. But wait, the move synergies are pronounced if you want your drone to move up only when you click E and press W for forward. Okay, choice A, what you have now, blah blah blah. Okay, Sensei's technique inspection, the Swiss, if you ever decide to use E down instead of up. E for down instead of up, you would use a negate modifier. E for down. Do I like still need a Swiss in that case? I mean, I'm positive I don't need a Swiss. I do need a Swiss. Hold up, guys. This is going to be having a modifier here of Swiss. Let's go with something like Swiss input access. Okay, and when I leave it, I go down. I want to check if this part works right now because I have a pressed, I have a release, start, stop, start when the start, stop when that stops. Here's the thing. Okay, let's go ahead and try compiling this. I'm positive this is going to work this time. Go with something like live compile. I have a place to go now. So, okay, so it's successfully linked. Let's go ahead and exit that, run the code. Okay, I was positive it's going to work. Guys, probably because I can't think this through because I'm kind of exhausted, but this should be really easy to do, to be honest. I know where am I exactly messing up. Oh, I know, my bad, guys. Let's hit F to start flying. Now if I hit E, there we go. Oh, I keep flying. Hold on, guys, I gotta hit something like, actually, what if I look down? Okay, guys, I keep flying. Let's hit something like L to land, hit F to fly, F to fly, E, go up. Am I going up? Okay, I mean the flight actually works even if I don't click it. At least it works. At least there's some progress here. Wait, am I just static here? Okay. Oh, I see. Wait, what if I hit something like SE? What happens if I hit something like SE? Nope. Okay, let's hit exit. Okay, I kind of understand how this works. All I gotta do is just add more controls to it. Okay, let me go ahead and fix this part real quick. When I click E, I go up. When I click some, when E is released, I want to go ahead and drop it down. If E is pressed, only if E is pressed, I want to go upwards. Else, this is gonna be 0. Let's think. Else, I don't want to move it at all. For the time being, I just kind of fall. I want to go in a flight mode. I want to stop when I don't click E. Let's go with something like else, April of curly braces. Let's go with something like else, April of curly braces. Add movement input. I'm gonna go with something like up. Direction is gonna be 0.0f, ending with a semicolon. Let's hit Control S to save the code. Let's go ahead and get my Unreal Engine up here. I'm gonna go ahead and live compile real quick. There we go. Let's wait for it to live compile. Okay, it says result succeeded. Let's do that. There we go. Let's go ahead and run the code. Now, if I hit something like F, I'm on flying mode. I fly up. If I stop, why do I still keep moving? I mean, I can still move around it. Am I static? I'm not flying up, right? If I hit something like E, I go higher. And W, wait, I kind of get dragged. I don't like completely stop. Okay, so let me just actually extend my entire window real quick. Okay, because it's kind of annoying to do it with like half a window. There, let's go with something like F, E. I want to fly up. I can go ahead and look down. Whoops. There we go. Okay, I'm not flying up anymore. I'm positive I'm not flying up. I'm going to go with something like L and then something like F, F, F. There. Let's go with E. There. Okay, let's move forward. If I were to stop here. Okay, I do not stop. I still like move a bit. And then if I go with something like S, E, I still go up. If I go with W, E, I go forward up. And then I can hit escape. Okay, I mean, I think I see. Let me go ahead and decrease the size real quick. All I gotta do is add functionalities, but I will be going through that like next stream. So let's go ahead and get some /ChatGPT here. Let's say something like, okay, my E moves exclamation. That said, I kind of drag myself and don't completely stop when I click E, if that makes any sense, question mark. Is there a way to completely stop myself and not float around, question mark? Okay, because I do kind of float around. Listen to me, I've discovered the inertia of the void because if you're in flying mode, the engine treats your drones like a spacecraft in zero gravity. It has braking declarations, but it isn't set to instant stop. The architect does not allow the machine to drift. They command the gears to look. The diagnostics, the drift. In move flying, the character movement component uses a variable called brake declaration flying. If this value is low, you will glide like you're on ice, even if you let go of your keys. The fix, emergency brake, do this to stop the drone instantly. Permanent fix, character movement, brake declaration, spring arm code, brake, friction factor, blah blah blah. Okay, let me say that something like, Sensei, can I work on that next stream though? Because the stream I am kind of exhausted and also a bit hungry. So before I do end the stream, is there anything that you want to say to the viewers? Question mark. Okay, let's see. Okay, yes. Let me just go out of it here. Let's go ahead and just end that. Oh my god, using Edge, guys. Using Edge is actually kind of crazy. That said, listen to me. You have fought the Z-axis, mastered the enhanced input subsystems, and conquered the laws of physics today. Even Master Architect must recharge their energy. Okay, internal battery, the core remains, but the craftsman must rest to keep the vision sharp. Sensei's final address to the citizens of the stream. To the viewers, you have witnessed a masterness in C++ persistence. Your host didn't just copy code. I did like lastly copy the code to check we're working. But Sensei's parting wisdom before you cut the feedback. Logic is the muscle, but rest is the fuel. Go eat, recharge, and dream of a clean syntax. Tell the chat the drone is docked. The architect is heading to the mess hall. The richer, is that pronounced as mess hall? I think it's mess hall. We return with more power. We return with more power soon, guys. I still cannot talk properly. Okay, let's go to my OBS and my main camera. Alright guys, so basically that was pretty much it for the stream. If you guys did enjoy the stream, don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Like helps my algorithm, sharing makes you smart, and subscribing so I get you on top. That's it guys, I did start multi-streaming on Twitch and YouTube. I will start multi-streaming on TikTok and Instagram as well if I did meet the follower requirement. So if you guys do enjoy my content and haven't followed me there, make sure to follow me there. The link is going to be in the description, and also join the Discord server. That's why I usually talk to you guys, chat with you guys, and also have general conversations and have conversation in general, guys. That's it. I don't know why for some reason today I was like way too rusty with talking. Speaking of which, I did have a community poll or like an image poll asking you guys what stream should I have this Tuesday. Should it either be Blender stream, should it be Wuthering Waves streams, or it's something that you guys say in general, like in the comment section type stuff. That's it. Make sure to like leave a poll there because I am like waiting for Blender because I will be making many mentions. But do let me know what you guys want me to have a stream on this Tuesday because Tuesday is the day when I actually have general streams which is not really programming unless you want me to program that day as well. Which I won't, guys. Spoiler alerts. What are technologies you learned now? What in what language or fields you feel your career in? For the time, I want to eventually be an AI engineer, but for the time being, I do think I'm pretty much good at software engineering because that's what I have been learning using Unreal Engine. But after my program for like 250 series, where my goal by the end of this series is to make a game in general that consists of AI logic in it. Once that is over, I'm going to be having another series, spoilers alert, guys, which is going to be like spending, or I won't say how many days and all that stuff, but my goal will be to make a chatbot in general. I might try implementing that chatbot inside of my actual game, but many of you guys did say generative AI and game AI is kind of different. So I'll have to think about that stuff. And that said, I'm going to catch you guys in the next more video. Peace.